Hey everybody, Coach Joby here, and today I'd like to share a strategy that will help you to eliminate GI distress in your next race. So if you've ever experienced this before, you know how much it can really ruin your race and how much it's going to impact your overall performance. So the one of the key principles to remember is you want to make sure that whatever you're taking in fluid-wise, that you're aware of your carbohydrate concentration of your solution. So when you mix your calories in a bottle, you need to be aware of the carbohydrate concentration. And so there's a lot of research showing that anywhere in the 6 to 8% range is about where you want to be. Now, as you get closer to the 8%, you start to increase your chances of GI distress drinking that concentrated of a solution. When you go above that, most people will start experiencing some form of significant form of GI distress. And keep in mind, everybody is individual. Some people start experiencing this closer to 6. And so you want to make sure, first of all, that you are aware of what your concentration is. So I'm going to use myself as an example and kind of show you how this plays out. So if you want to figure out your carbohydrate concentration in your bottles, you take the number of grams, you divide it by milliliters. You can look at it online for converting ounces to milliliters if you want to figure out your specific bottle. But I will put 75 grams of carbohydrates in a concentrated bottle, a 24-ounce bottle. So 75 divided by the number of milliliters, 710, gives us a concentration of 10.5%. So if I relied on that bottle only and I consumed that, I can tell you from past experience, I guarantee you I would have serious GI issues on the bike and it would impact my run. That's a 10.5% solution. So that's still how I mix my bottle. I know it's more concentrated, but what I do is I also add water, on-course water and sodium, on-course water to make sure that my concentration is not at that 10.5%. So what I do is I'm about 32 to 35 ounces per water. For most races, I'm about that range. So if we take 75 divided by the number of milliliters, that's 946. That gives me more of a 7.9% concentration. Or if I add a little more water, a 7.2% concentration. And for me, that's effective. So you want to make sure that whatever you have in your bottle, I know a lot of people like to super concentrate their solution. If you have a concentrated solution, you want to be aware of the carbohydrate concentration, because if you're not aware of that and just consuming that and you're not taking in additional water, that can cause some problems. And we want to avoid that. So there's a couple of strategies that you can use to make sure that your concentrate is working for you. So like I said, for myself, I will add additional water. I take in a higher amount of extra water on the course, and that helps me to keep my concentration lower. Now, there are times when I can feel like my stomach is starting to be a little bit sensitive, and I could tell that if I don't correct it, it's going to contribute to bigger problems down the road. So my strategy is, as I'm racing, I will back off of my liquid calories and I'll just take in water. I'm not over consuming water, but I'm just taking in water. Maybe it's a 30-minute duration where I'm backing off of my liquid calories. Yes, I'm maybe under fueling a little bit for that short duration, but it's a strategy to allow me to get back to a clean, empty stomach feeling so that I can continue fueling throughout the race. You don't want to just ignore it and let it happen. You want to make sure you see the signs of potential GI distress. So that's the strategy. Number one, make sure you know your concentration. You're aiming for a 6 to 8%. 8% would be at the upper limit. I tend to operate at more like a 7.5 to 8%, and that works for me. But you may be at a 6%, and you just through experience and trial and error, you can kind of figure that out. Now, what if you go for like a 5% or a 4% solution? Well, that's absolutely will work. However, you can't rely on those calories to sustain you for the event, because then your caloric intake starts to drop significantly. And although you might absorb it, you may not have enough calories on board. So typically somebody who has a solid and also liquid nutrition strategy, that a much lower concentrated solution is effective as long as you're getting your calories in. And so if you have a concentrate, and I know a lot of people race with concentrate, if you have a concentrate, make sure that if you are feeling some GI distress, catch it early before it continues. So the way that I suggest is drink some additional water, give yourself a little bit of time. And for me, in my experience in racing and a lot of the athletes that I've coached, it helps to eliminate that, and you can continue on with the rest of the race. Because if you can get to the run you're able to take in calories on the run, which you should be able to, that's going to be, you're going to be in a really good position for your overall race. So check your concentration on your bottles, make sure you know it, and have a strategy to deal with that if you are feeling a little bit uneasy in your stomach. All right.